Best coffee I've ever tasted. Okay, so I have to go on a little rant today. Karri Flatla here, Remax Real Estate Lethbridge and karriflatla.com. For this week's Friday Fire, we are in early May 2020, global pandemic, COVID-19. Alberta government says they have a staged plan for reopening the economy. Great news, but they're not committing to dates yet, as far as I know. We think it's coming soon in May. But here's the thing, is there's not going to be, we're not going back to normal anytime soon. Unless there's a vaccine or a proven treatment for COVID, nothing is going back to normal. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, and you're waiting around for everything to settle down and be normal again, you could be waiting a really long time. It takes a year to 18 months to develop and approve and distribute a vaccine. So we got a long way to go, and supposedly the virus continues to mutate. So we got a lot ahead of us here. One thing that is really needing to be said is there is a chasm of difference between what salespeople will say to the media and what the economists will say to the media. And quite frankly, I'm more interested in what the economists will say, even though I'm a salesperson. So for example, folks who need to sell the health and welfare of their public company will say everything's going to be great and everything's amazing because they have to protect shareholder value and investor confidence. And I understand that, but they want to sound positive. However, yesterday I was reading an article on Macdonald Laurier Institute website, and they said there is absolutely no way there can be a V-shaped recovery in Canada. And if you're in Alberta, you really need to listen to this. So, first of all, before we had an official pandemic in Canada, the economy was sort of stagnating. The fundamentals weren't great. The growth was very slow, okay? And other things started to happen. We had a perfect storm. So the rail blockades, for one, and plummeting oil prices for two. So Saudi Arabia and Russia decided to have a little argument and attack democratic oil, basically, is what happened. So that affects Alberta. And then number three, we had COVID-19, and governments across the country started to shut down the economy and tell people not to go to work. So you can't have all of those things without consequences, unintended and otherwise. Alberta is looking at probably a $20 billion deficit this year. $20 billion. Our entire economy, our entire budget, in Alberta, I think is about $56 to $60 billion. So $20 billion is a big deal, and that will have effects on the government's decisions and spending decisions going forward. So if you're in Lethbridge, we have a very high public sector economy in Lethbridge. Now, I don't know what the government is going to do in the future, but I don't think that spending is going to be the way it used to be. I think they're going to have to course correct and try to adapt. You know, just like we've adapted in the private sector with COVID-19, I think governments are going to have to adapt. So everything is going to be different. And this idea that there's going to be this V-shaped recovery and one day the world's going to wake up and start spending money like it's going out of style, well, that doesn't make sense. That being said, I think in real estate what we're seeing is a little bit of a delayed spring rush in terms of buying behavior. So we do have a bit of pent-up demand in terms of people who hunkered down for those first few weeks of the pandemic in Alberta and said, I'm not going to do anything until I understand what's going on, because a confused mind never makes a decision, right? So everyone just stopped. So we're going to have a little bit of a bump here, sort of a mini boom in real estate in terms of everyone's going to come out of the woodwork, dust themselves off. And if they were thinking of making a move or selling their home, they're going to do it now, especially with the weather getting better. Canadians are just their behavior is very impacted by weather. That being said, the fundamentals haven't changed in the economy, and we have to be realistic about that. And so if we are headed for some type of deep recession in Alberta or across Canada, let's just be realistic and say, okay, so we're all going to put on gloves and hand sanitizer and that just solves everything. No, it doesn't. Hand sanitizer is what I would call the bare minimum that you should be doing. Just sort of like taking professional photos to market a listing is what you should be doing, right? So we just need to raise the bar in terms of our precautions about health and spreading a virus. But that doesn't solve the fundamental problem of damage to the economy, and in Lethbridge, too much inventory and not enough buyers to pick up the slack of all of that inventory. So if you're hitting the market and you need to sell, there's not a lot of room for error. The photos need to be great. The marketing needs to be great. Of course, you should have a 3D tour. Of course, you should hire a professional to do your photography. Of course, your realtor should make sure that your home is staged or restaged to look its best, so that when the buyer walks in, they fall in love and they know right away if this is the house for them, or so the buyer books a showing to begin with. Because when you have too much inventory, and I think we got to get used to that in Lethbridge, you need to be at the top of the list of the buyer's choices so that you're the one that gets an offer that month in that price range. So I guess the bottom line of what I'm saying is we can always sell your home because we have a plan, and a very professional realtor will always have a plan. They will always know how to get the job done, even in a pandemic or a difficult situation or a challenging economy or too much inventory or what have you, or you don't have the ideal house to sell, all of these things. But I'm seeing a lot of people say, well, we got hand sanitizer and we're ready to rock and I'm wearing a mask and let's sell houses. Well, there's so much more to it, right? There's just so much more to selling a home in a challenging environment. So yes, we're raising the bar on taking precautions, and we should be doing those things anyway. But how are you going to get your house sold if there's 100 other houses in that price range competing for attention, for maybe not that many buyers, right? So we're heading into more challenge. And so make sure that you have a plan when you put your home on the market or when you're going to buy. The bare minimum is following COVID-19 precautions. That is the bare minimum. But it's just like anything else in real estate. You got to go above and beyond the bare minimum when you're in a challenging market. It's easy to sell a home in a hot market. It is not easy to sell a home when the fundamentals are weak. So put the hand sanitizer on, but then let's talk about a real professional plan to get your home sold, because we are heading into more protracted, challenging times. So let's just get used to it and adapt. And then we're just going to be that much more laser focused on the details. And also, it's not just how we're marketing your home, but you also need strength when the offer does come in, and how are you going to negotiate with the buyer? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. So of course you got a 3D tour, of course we got all these beautiful photos, of course we're going to do all these things to market your home and get exposure, but you don't want to do all of that work and then you're dealing with a buyer who knows that we're in a challenging economy, who knows that there's lots of homes to pick from. Maybe they have challenges in their own lives because of job stability with a pandemic, or all of these kinds of things. So you need to make sure that you're negotiating in a street smart fashion when you do get the offer. There's all of these behind the scenes things that have to happen to get that sale across the finish line. So, I'm seeing just like a lot of, very nice things about we've got hand sanitizer and we can do anything during the pandemic. And like somehow marketing just solves everything, but it doesn't. There's so many moving parts to buying and selling a home. And how is your realtor going to manage that process from beginning to end? All the things that go on behind the scenes and the communication and the advisement that goes on behind the scenes so that you don't lose your mind to get the house sold, right? So there's no V-shaped recovery coming. That's not possible. And I hope I'm proven wrong, but I don't think I will be. They're going to have a little bit of a bump here because of some people that were waiting. And now the fear has subsided and they're going to go do what they need to do and buy or sell a home. But I think over the long run, for at least the foreseeable future, for the next 10 to 12 months, we're going to have a lot of challenge economically. And so you've got to make sure you have a detailed plan for buying or selling your home, because it's going to be challenging. That's my rant for today. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Put on the hand sanitizer, wash your hands often, and call us if you have any questions or you need a plan for buying or selling, whether it's today or 6 months from now. 3827335. Have a terrific rest of your Friday. Bye-bye.